Good morning, it's the day 126. This is the view looking from my tent. Might be one of the most beautiful tent spots in the entire trail. I had to skinny pitch last night. I did my best attempt at that, and use guy lines to attach to some things on the side to hold it up. Same with over here. So this is my first time trying to skinny pitch. I don't know if I did it exactly right, but I did pull it off. I checked the weather before I went to bed. It said there's a 30% chance of raining around 1 a.m. And in fact, I woke up to rain. So I had to, when you skinny pitch, you essentially don't have the vestibules. So my bug net was all I had there. So I had to kind of pull my backpack inside. I used it, basically put my feet on top of it and my shoes and everything inside this little tent. And then I closed up the side zipper, and I just kind of held it down with my water bottle. It's kind of hard to explain, but it was very jerry-rigged, but it worked. Unfortunately, my rain jacket and pants, which I left to dry out because I said, okay, 30% chance, and it was only for an hour. It's all right, took those odds. Well, I lost, so my rain jacket is totally soaked, and my pants are under it. But check out, just such a beautiful view. I was probably the last one here. There are a few Sobos camped down that way, and there's some people up in there that probably didn't see this tent site, at least the latter ones, because I know they were looking for one, so I really lucked out. Or they just decided they couldn't fit their tent. But either way, this is one of the most beautiful, because I have this view both in that direction and that direction. So awesome. Well, my tent's all wet and nasty, so if it rains again right now, I'm kind of screwed because my rain jacket's wetted out, my rain pants are wet, my tent's exposed and all wet, my sleeping bag's damp and wet too. I had to put that inside. If I have a chance to stop in some sunlight, I'll take it out so it can hopefully dry out. But yeah, kind of a mess right now. But that's how I'm going to be hiking these things, so hopefully they dry out a little bit. All right, it's 7:30, about to get moving. I've got 19 miles to get to olallie, which is a little town or resort, if you can call it that, right off the trail. I'll resupply for 50 more miles at that point to get to Timberline Lodge. I can handle all this stuff. It's this feeling in my left foot, this lingering resurgence of stress fracture that's just really got me freaked out. This is Milk Creek. This is right next to camp last night. Came down and grabbed water. I was right up there by those rocks, right behind there. Oh, it was cold, or it is cold, a little cold, damp, and gloomy and cloudy. It's kind of tough to get moving this morning. I actually didn't have that hard of a time doing it, but I think the first one up and moving. There's 4 other people kind of around that creek at least, some people try to give me the trail name Marmot because marmots aren't active in the morning. That says a lot if you've been following along. So yeah, and everything was wet, which is just uncomfortable. Sleeping bag somehow is wet at the feet. Probably condensation in the tent or something, and when I'm moving around it's scraping against the inside. My tent is all wet on the outside and inside, but outside from rain. And then my rain jacket and rain pants I left to dry out, but then it ended up raining again last night. 30% chance for 1 hour. Thought it'd be okay. So I woke up, I was so tired. I didn't even edit my video. I made dinner, cleaned myself and everything, and then went right to bed. And I woke up to rain, which I knew was a possibility, literally hitting me because I had the vestibule open because I had a skinny pitch. So yeah, it was an interesting night. But now I've got my work cut out for me to get to olallie. Got a big climb to start today. It's 2,850 some feet over about 8.5 miles. So I think the gradient was somewhere in the 360s or something, with including some descent in there too. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough way to start the day, but much prefer that than the alternative. I really like how above the clouds. Wow, I'm nowhere near the top of this climb, but it's like a mini peak. And coming over, look at it on this side. Man, that is cool. It's kind of eerie, cozy, foggy. No clue what's down there. I mean, it's a valley, obviously. Could be a lake somewhere, but pretty cool. I'm finding this weather really cozy. Like, it's just been most days, like the overwhelming majority of days of this day 126 have been sunny and hot. And having some overcast days and the fog, just, it's kind of cozy. It reminds me a little bit of fall where I grew up in the Midwest, but I do like this change of pace. Now, I don't mind the rain. I actually kind of like the thunderstorms. I also find those pretty cozy, preferably when I have shelter. But I don't very much enjoy having wet gear and wet tent. But it's not the biggest deal as long as it doesn't keep raining. Like, as long as it stays like this, when I get to my lunch break, I can dry it all out like I've shown before. So all in all, I really actually enjoying this change of weather. So I saw a comment in Far Out yesterday, so probably like, I don't know, 25 miles back on trail miles or so, that someone had seen some mountain goats. So I guess they are around. It does kind of look like mountain goat, kind of esque steep territory up there. It would be so cool to see some of those. I'm kind of keeping my eyes out, but obviously head down first, foremost priority. As you know, because it happened twice yesterday on camera, I still trip multiple times a day, even though I'm constantly looking down. Now, when I'm filming, that increases the incident rate because I'm obviously multitasking. I don't have the support of my trekking poles, and I'm trying to look at what I'm filming and also the ground. It's just a lot to do, but when I can, I'm out looking around for wildlife and nature too. Just a lot to constantly be processing. I almost cowboy camped yesterday. That spot I had was perfect for cowboy camping, which I don't really like, but it just made sense for the space. But because of that small chance of rain, I decided to set up my tent to do a skinny pitch, which was obviously the right decision because it did end up raining. But that was a really nice spot to look at the stars, and it's really cozy. Definitely one of my favorite spots of the whole trail. Everything's still kind of damp and wet out here. The sun's creeping up from behind those mountains there. Honestly, I really am enjoying the overcast, but I think that's gonna go away quite soon here. It's a hell of a climb to start the day. Just a hell of a climb in general. I'm less than 4 miles in. I've already done over 1,200 feet in elevation ascent. I'm sweating. Sun's about to come out. It's totally exposed. No sign of that changing anytime soon. And I'm not even halfway up this climb, barely over a third. Well, not barely, but over a third. A little break in the ascent to come down to this valley, this water, past this creek or river. It's a creek, big creek. And obviously, see it going back up. Well, I wanted to film my crossing, but it's just, I need to use my hands for the trekking poles, so you can just imagine it. The incline got a little more gradual for a stretch, so I've just been flying, but I wanted to stop. There's something very beautiful about it in here, even though there's a lot of dead trees. Entering Jefferson Park. Water is very cream colored, like murky. Have not seen that yet. This whole hike, very distinct, almost like a tan, whitish, like a cream in a coffee kind of thing. Well, I stopped again real quick because I remember looking ahead just briefly what was here today, and I remember hearing Whitewater Creek, and yeah, this is called Whitewater Creek. Very obvious as to why. This looks out of like a fairy tale or some kind of movie. Like, it literally looks like milk pouring out. Oh, I know that feeling. But what do we say to the angel of death? Not today. I've done 1,800 in elevation gain. There's one of those snakes I saw in the water the other day, same kind. I'm past halfway. I've got over 3 miles left to go to get up to the top, and about another 1,000 feet in elevation. A little bit over, I think. So I'm getting there, but it's very beautiful. This kind of second break in the ascent as we've plateaued a bit here. Very, very cool with these little ponds and the mountains in the background. Oh yeah, I believe at the end of this climb, I said it was 8 miles. It looks like it's actually like 9 or 8.8, so whatever. I believe I'll be entering the Mount Hood Wilderness, which is cool. That's a mountain some of y'all may have heard of. Like, a lot of these I hadn't heard of till I got here, but Mount Hood I definitely knew about, so pretty cool. Almost there, 3 miles to go or so. Well, I was about to keep going forward, and I'm so glad I turned around. Check this out. Mount Jefferson. Well, you may recall a few days ago I mentioned I felt a little under the weather. I definitely am a little bit. I've had a bit of a minor head cold the last few days. It's worse in the morning. Like, the last probably 4 or 5 days, I've been spitting up a little bit of phlegm. I feel pressure behind my ears. Thankfully, it's nothing too serious, but I wonder where it came from. I mean, I try to wash my hands out here a lot, but obviously there's many instances where they're kind of dirty still. But I think that's very different than like being in a city where there's germ spread everywhere. Kind of being out here, I did probably like a couple days before this started share my Nutella with a Sobo hiker and let her use her spoon to go right into my Nutella dish, which I was mindful of that probably not the most, there's a risk there of sanitary stuff. So I don't know, thankfully it's nothing too serious, but it peaks and ebbs and flows here and there. So there's moments where I just have like a really kind of uncomfortable headache and pressure, but most of the time it's pretty minor. That's just a little bit of phlegm in the morning and whatever. It's beautiful here. I'm about to end this little nice break on the meadow plateau here and about to do this last 1,000-foot climb, which will be in like over 2.5 miles, 1,000 feet up. Pretty steep. Nothing I haven't done before, but it's very beautiful up here. This final climb is about 700 feet in 1 mile, and my left foot's hurting. It's taking a lot for me not to lose my temper right now. That was a tough little climb there, especially with my foot flaring up. It's cold actually. The sun's been blocked by clouds most of the day and I'm sweating profusely. So, and the wind's blowing. It's actually quite cool. I almost put on my fleece, but just want to keep going. And I'm feeling the most effects of this little cold that I have. It's been minor the last couple of days. It's definitely the most today. I'm a little sick. So yeah, it's always freaking something. All right, I reached the top of that climb. That's Mount Jefferson in the background. The sun is coming out now. And I think this sign ahead of me, I think is gonna be the border into Mount Hood Wilderness. But obviously it's facing this way, so I think it's gonna say entering Mount Jefferson or something like that. Yeah, I'm entering Jefferson Park. So I think now this is the Mount Hood Wilderness. Yes, that's confirmed. I just looked up on Far Out. So I just entered the Mount Hood Wilderness. I presume that is it there. Well, up there at the peak, looking over Mount Jefferson would have been a great place to stop for lunch, but it's too early for that. And it's such a climb this morning, almost 3,000 feet over 9 miles, that it slowed me down some. So even though I felt like I was going at a really good time, maybe I just took longer to take breaks and stuff, not to rest my feet, like poop breaks and water refills and stuff like that. So I'm gonna push a few more miles and then rest and take a break, and then hopefully get into olallie at a decent time, get my resupply there, which I'll have to buy. I didn't send a package there because it's supposed to be good stuff, what hikers want, and then get back moving. And yes, confirmed that is Mount Hood. So that's straight north pretty much. So I'll be heading through the Mount Hood wilderness or forest in between here and there. And last thing, I'm still staying by this pole. It's pretty much going to be all downhill now until olallie, which is good. I mean, it's how it goes, and what goes down must come up on the PCT, so coming out of town. But I mean, I put the work in already up here, and honestly, I'm slower downhill than uphill. Like, it takes way more energy and effort going uphill, but I can really engage my muscles and push through and really put a workout into it. Whereas downhill, it's a lot more delicate and finicky, and my body doesn't handle the shock well. So I'm just slower downhill than most people, probably relative to their uphill. And does that make sense? Slower than most people relative to their uphill. Yeah, most people are really fast downhill, and I seem to be slower than a lot of people downhill relative to kind of uphill for me. I'm faster uphill than most people. So anyways, I got 10 miles to go to get into this little town. My feet are hurting, feeling plantar fasciitis just standing here by my heels. So just looking forward to a few miles from now. We can sit down, eat lunch, take a break. Oh, it's been fairly steep coming down from that pass. A lot of rocks. Rock City. Rock City. That's what it feels like out here. I am so sick of walking on rocks. Coming down sucks more than going up for me. That was awful. I hope that's the end of it. My feet are so beat up from those damn lava rocks and just perpetual ebbing and flowing of plantar fasciitis and just achiness. Walking on rocks sucks so much. And it was steep, so it's it was Sierra-esque, honestly. Cascades are no joke. And I hope that's the last of it for this part. All right, I'm 11 miles in, but remember, not all miles are created equal. Those are pretty intense 11 miles. I decided to post up here for a break. Ow, hurt my foot as I stumbled. Like, kind of like some lunch, light lunch, and then drying out my tent there with the beautiful view in the background. Oh, I was just packing up. My tent dried, and I also laid out my rain gear, and then I remembered my sleeping bag was wet, so I took it out. So I'm just gonna get a little stretching in while it dries there. All right, you can kind of see Mount Hood way in the background there. So I let it dry out for my sleeping bag for about 20 minutes, and it's good now. It was annoying because that's just a redundancy I should have been on top of, that I could have had drying while I was taking my break, but that's okay. So I ended up taking a little bit longer of a break, almost an hour and 20 minutes or something. But that's all right. So now I've got about 8 miles to get into olallie. Again, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Where I'll do a quick resupply. They don't even have like a cafe or restaurant, so I'll just buy some stuff and then keep moving. After that, I have Timberline Lodge 50 miles later, so into olallie, get some food to get like resupply food, and then keep going. I also was reading comments that they don't let anybody charge their devices, so there's no Wi-Fi or anything, so I'm not gonna be able to upload videos. So it should be a pretty quick stop. But I'm definitely gonna have to stop for water and maybe even rest my feet in between here and there. Well, somehow I got off the PCT. I like kind of realized it pretty quickly, but I didn't know if my GPS map was just off, but I think at this point I'm a ways away. So I'm gonna have to kind of bushwhack and get back over to try to find my way to it. I've been wandering, trying to find the trail for like 15 minutes. This is the worst I've had the whole trail of getting lost and needing to course correct. I had a feeling right when I got to the top of like a little peak there was like the terrain change, but it just seemed like the natural flow. And then I checked shortly after, and then I saw like looked like it was gonna probably cut in, so I kept going, and that was in hindsight a mistake. Like I'm just in the middle of nowhere here, just trying to find the trail, and there's like a lot of elevation up and down, and just like been bushwhacking. Definitely the worst course correct I've had the entire PCT. All right, just about a minute after I recorded that last video, I found the trail. Basically, I went on a different trail it's like unmarked, but it's definitely a trail that took me down. And then by the time I decided to course correct, I had to climb back up through, I was in a valley or meadow, climbed all the way back up, and then the trail was down again. So I was just scaling the sides of these hills. A little annoying, but whatever, it happens. I'm surprised it hasn't been worse instances than that. So, bit of a waste of time, but no big deal. I'm back on the move. Yeah, comparing my Garmin mileage to what I knew I had, like how much, like what mileage marker it was to this next water source. I just walked over half a mile in steps, just kind of out of the way, trying to find the trail again. So it's a little annoying, but really not a huge deal. Where was the sign at the top of the peak? Thanks a lot. I mean, look, you're gonna get lost, make the wrong turn. It happens, it's kind of part of it. In hindsight, like I said, I should have just retraced my steps when I realized it, but I thought I'd be able to make a little turn, sort of a loss into a bit of a win, but whatever. They really should have a sign up there though. Like it definitely seemed like I was continuing on the PCT. And then obviously it was not. Well, naturally there's been a ton more rocks, including this stretch. Probably still nice, but it would probably look a lot nicer if it wasn't surrounded by a bunch of dead trees, but it's still a pretty nice lake. Should be my last pit stop before getting to town. I've got 5.6 more miles to go. Last water refill. I'll just drink as much as I can now and then take a liter with me. It's mostly downhill, so it shouldn't be too bad in terms of sweat. All right, this broader stretch just sucks. Like, it's a burn zone. There's rocks freaking everywhere. My feet are hurting. This freaking stress fracture is being irritated from the damn lava rocks 2 days ago. Now these rocks, like, sucks. There's been a couple good climbs in here since I got the water. I didn't really zoom in. I just saw the net was mostly downhill, but yeah, there's been some climbs. This is just my gut feeling. It's not like I've measured the acreage or anything like that, but like generally people sort of like give NorCal a bad rap. It's like, oh, there's so many burn zones, blah, blah. It wasn't that bad. Like, there were definitely enough, but, and then I don't hear about it that much in Oregon. There's been way more in Oregon than I thought. I almost think they're about equal. Oregon's got just as many miles of burn on the trail as Northern California. That I don't know that for sure. That's just my sense, and regardless of whether it's accurate or not, I can tell you that's how it feels. Well, I'm like 0.3 miles away from this little town, Olallie, where I'll resupply. Honestly, today had some nice views in the beginning, but it just sucked, and it's not done yet. But like this is some of the shittiest terrain I've been on the whole trail. I mean, rocks, elevation up and down, and just burn zone everywhere. And mostly the rocks though, just sucks. Like, oh my god, it's been a rough few days actually, terrain-wise. And it's probably the fact that I've just been going nonstop since Ashland that's not helping, and the injuries, but like, this just blows. I mean, it really slows you down so much. I feel so behind. Like, I'm going to be rolling in here at like 4:30. I got to check exactly, but probably like 4:30 and maybe even 5 o'clock. And having only done 19 miles per day, that's terrible. Yeah, it's 4:20 now, so it'll probably be closer to 4:30. Than 5 when I get in. Oh man, not fun. Not a fun day. There aren't many, but you know what I mean. On the spectrum, this goes definitely closer to the really shit days than the less shit days. Well, I see some structure in there. Building cabin. Man, can you imagine having like a business on the lake here and then it all just burns down around it? Like, that sucks so much. Like, the lakes are still nice, but it's not a very desirable place to come anymore. That's nice. Someone's out on a canoe. And there's still some trees down here, so it's got a nice feel down close to the lake. Alright, I mean, this is like Mount Hood National Forest land still. Some cabins it looks like you can rent. I guess the general store is up here somewhere. I think it's probably less than a quarter of a mile walk off trail here, so not too bad at all. I'm gonna get a beer just with my foot and how I'm feeling. There we go.
Multi-year thing for me, so
Let's go. 607 to Canada. 2043 done. There's a view of Mount Jefferson over Olallie Lake. Okay, it is 6:15. I'm walking to get back to the PCT. Probably less than a quarter of a mile to go. Sorry to cut that short there. I just had to say bye to two very nice New Zealander men that I met who are doing a biking trail. So you bike and camp, and it's the Oregon something and started with a T. I can't remember, but I'm sure I looked it up. So actually chatted for probably like 20-25 minutes, and it was really interesting to hear everything they do and how similar and different and just what their experience has been like. So they're going from the California border up to the Washington border on bikes, but it's a different trail than PCT. Okay, one sec, gotta start my tracker and back on the PCT. So I made a friend who, there's one other PCT hiker there, also going Nobo. So we were chatting for a bit, got a picture with him, Wesley, or Big Red Flytrap is the trail name. So that was cool. And I did it, it's like 6:15 now, so I was there in about a little under 2 hours. I had a beer, I had a chocolate protein shake, and I had a moon pie, and two little cheese, like one bell, those round cheeses and one cheese stick. So it's like a snack and rest break. Then I did my resupply. It was cash only, so I had an emergency like $70 I carried on me, and then I had actually like $30 in my wallet, so I had basically $100, and the resupply cost me a little under 70. So I resupplied for 2 days. Not the best selection, but enough to get by. So next stop is Timberline Lodge, 50 miles from here. So I'll see how many I can knock out tonight, do a full day tomorrow, try to hit 30 at least tomorrow, and then get into Timberline the following day. So got my work cut out for me, but it was a nice, call it a little less than 2 hour break. Just kind of chatting, hanging out, and also a little bit of resupply work. Oh, I might not want to skip miles. I mean, I could have just come down this road. I didn't realize that, but I ended up whatever. Okay, so I looked at the log in the general store, and there was only 2 other hikers today on the PCT that I signed in, and one was a friend I made. The other wrote the wrong date, but I'm presuming he or she was there today. That's it. But yesterday, I counted 9 Novos. So there are definitely, I'm catching up to people. I've been pushing hard. Actually, my 2 Swiss friends, Kevin and Ophelia, I was checking the logs. Like when I started in out of Ashland, I was 7 days behind them. And now I'm only 2 days behind them. So I'm definitely catching up to some people, which is just nice to see some familiar names, and it would be nice to see the faces. But a good data point. So like I know there's a few people obviously behind me, like my friend Camilo and John, who had the guitar, and then the 3 French people I made friends with. But for the most part, I think it's pretty sparse back here, but I'm not that far off from some people coming through ahead here. So kind of good stat, and good to know I'm only really a day behind or 2 days behind a decent amount of Novos. Well, I just looked at the elevation profile. For once, I will keep net going down. Obviously, it ebbs and flows. But that wasn't really a town, because I always say what goes down must come up on the PCT. And eventually we will come up, but that's kind of nice. It's not going to be some crazy climb. But also, again, it wasn't really a town. It's just a resort that happened to be right next to the trail. So got about an hour and a half till sunset. I'd like to get at least 7 more miles in so I can hit like the 26, which is kind of my minimum I'm aiming for these days when I've run the math and timing of getting to the border. So I might just do some hiking for a little while into the night, which I don't really like doing. But a little later start today, and it was tough climb up. I wouldn't say that tough, it just was up a lot of the ways, so it was a little slower. But really what drew me slowed down was the rocks, the terrain, for a while. So it just slows the pace. It's so annoying. Oh, look at those prints. That is something, right? Oh, maybe those are just footprints. I say it almost looks like a paw, but I mean, those don't look like, I don't know. Yeah, I think this might be the heel and the toes of a shoe. Kind of look like a big paw, but yeah, so that's a bunch of updates. I'll catch y'all on trail in a bit. My right wrist has been bugging me for like 3 or 4 days now. It's like kind of achy, like carpal tunnel vibes, which is very possible the way I hold it in the trekking pole and everything. It's just getting kind of overworked in that way. It's like you don't think about stuff like, you're hiking, you think legs, right? But your whole body's kind of being thrown into extreme asks. So yeah, it's like to the point where like it's like very uncomfortable right now. I've been trying to massage it a little bit and stuff, but reminds me of when I was working 18-hour days in finance and investment banking, and then you just have your hand on computer on the mouse a good amount too. Although I learned to do a lot without the mouse, but it would start to ache like this sometimes. I'm starting to realize, based on recent conversations this past 10 days with people on trail, like how important to so many people it is to go tag or touch the northern terminus. But even though they're like skipping a bunch of miles, like a lot of people I've talked to that have skipped and are planning to skip more, like, but no matter what, I'm gonna go up to Hart's Pass and hike those last 30 miles, tag the terminus, like, which is fine. Like, I get it, everyone's on their own journey. I don't personally understand the meaning that would have if you've skipped a bunch of miles, but the thing is, I am now realizing, so the estimates are somewhere probably in like, I don't know, 10 to, or like maybe like 15-16% up to like 25-30% of people who try to do this actually finish. But that's like, I'm now realizing there's probably a lot of people included in that, the ones that do finish, that skipped a bunch of miles and are just like tagging the terminus and be like, okay, I got there. Like, it'd be really curious to see how many people actually successfully hike this each year without skipping. It's probably, I'm now realizing it's probably quite lower than what's even said, which is somewhere around 1 in 4 to 1 in 6. So it is nice to meet other Nobos and run into other Nobos here and everything, but there's not many left back here, I think, that have not skipped and are still trying to go all the way without skipping. So I still think, in a way, I'm the last Nobo. I'm only 2 miles in since my break at the lake. I say break loosely because, like, I was, resupplying, throwing out my trash, refilling my water, reorganizing my bag, all that stuff. But I did, quote unquote, chill for probably 30 minutes, and as I was conversing with those 2 bikers and the other hiker, but my feet are hurting so much right now for only 2 miles in after, like, sort of resting them for an hour and a half. And it's not even my stretch fracture resurgence at the moment. It's just the general aches in each toe and pain and blisters. It's just like, really don't want to keep hiking right now. It's like there's the next water source I was planning, if needed, is in like 2 miles from here, and there's a campsite there as well. That is kind of enticing as the sun goes down, but that's just, that mileage isn't really cutting it. If I knew I had a week into October, like some of the people I've met recently are banking on, I would totally be taking this more laissez-faire and enjoying towns, but it's a gamble, and I want to finish this. So I have to assume maybe at most I get a day or two of wiggle room into early October. So I just have certain mileage that I know I need to be hitting, and as I have not found the last few days easy. It's just the terrain, the rocks are making it hard really the most, but these are easier miles relative to what's coming up in Washington. I'm gonna get slowed down in Washington. You take me exactly as I am now, and I'm doing X number of miles, whatever it is, it's gonna be X minus some other number in Washington. So especially in these miles in Oregon, I feel like I need to be hitting my goal each day. I don't know why, but I really like crossing certain societal structures like power lines or highways. I guess it just kind of feels like a way of measuring the distance elapsed. Like, it kind of feels like progress. Really think back, all the way back, when I was leaving Hiker Town, heading to Tehachapi, going through that giant windmill farm. I mean, that was like probably mile in the 600s or something. That was a long time ago. Doesn't really feel that way, honestly, but yeah, it's just like, it's, in a way, it's kind of measuring progress in time. So while I do prefer the nature vibes, once in a while it is nice to kind of see this, because you're moving through areas of civilization. So based on the far out research I just did while walking, which is kind of dumb, but I've really gotten decent at multitasking, where I walk slowly and can monitor the terrain and look up and down. But I definitely trip here and there. It's multitasking is how I sprained my ankle. The second mile of this entire hike, not even an hour in. I think it was 46 minutes in. 1 point some miles in, I on the second mile, I sprained my ankle, at which point I proceeded to hike 178 more miles into Idlewild, at which point I couldn't even dorsiflex, like lift my toes. So it was a secondary injury related to it. But anyways, stuff happens. It happened early for me. Probably shouldn't be doing it with these stupid rocks. This is not as bad as pure rocks, but it's almost as frustrating because you're constantly zigzagging to try to land on clean ground, and then you end up like clipping a root or a rock and tripping, and just, it's annoying. Anyways, sorry for the ramble. I can either camp in a mile at that lake where I was going to get water, but that would only put me at like 23 miles or so on the day, which is not ideal. Or based on the fire comments I'm seeing, there's not really much till like 7 miles from here, and I don't really want to hike that much more in the night right now. So I've got a mile to think about what I want to do. I really don't feel good about a 23-mile day. Ow, and I just hurt my left foot. It's just like weird. I was monitoring it earlier on the hike into that olallie lake, and I couldn't go really more than 10 minutes without stepping on it. Weird where it hurt, but it's not like it hurts every step. I am altering how I walk to try to avoid when it hurts a little bit, I think, kind of subconsciously, but it's just so frustrating when it catches. It's like one of the, not a great, no pain's good, but of all the pains I've felt on this trail, it's probably up there, probably third worst, just most frustrating. So yeah, I got a mile though to figure this out, decide what I want to do. Well, that's interesting. It says entering Warm Springs Indian Reservation. Watch out for bears. Okay. As far as I'm aware, and I really mean as far as I'm aware, because there could very well have been others, but I just don't know about it. So the first Indian reservation we've been gone through on the PCT. What is this? Is that Smokey the Bear? Is that why it said watch out for bears? We're gonna digest this info in real time here, folks. Smokey's 5 rules. Only you can prevent wildfires. Always be careful of fire. Never play with matches and lighters. Never leave a campfire unattended. Make sure your campfire is dead out. Okay. I'm thinking like I could try to just stop soon here, make these miles up tomorrow. But I have to get up really early, and I prefer to be on that schedule. The thing is, as I've started pushing into the night a little bit recently, I'm just end up starting out my day the next day a little bit later. And it's not, I mean, yeah, it's cold and I'm a little sleepy tired, but it's really my body. I wake up and my body's just not ready to go walk another marathon. So I'm on the fence because I'd like to shift back to an earlier morning start, and I'm feeling pretty tired right now, but sitting on 23 mile day, it just feels pretty bad. So the question is, if I call it an early day, will I be able to get up if I set an alarm for like 4 or 4:30? It's gonna suck, but I know I'll be able to deal with the cold and the fact that I'm sleepy tired and all that. But the body is what I'm worried about. It's just been totally rebelling against me in the last like 6 days, 5-6 days in the morning. All right, I'm gonna call it a day and try to make up the miles tomorrow, meaning I'm gonna try to hit over 30 tomorrow for sure. I'm a little disappointed in today, but it was a late start. The rocks were horrible and slowing me down. There's a lot of ascent in the beginning. And I had to spend, almost 2 hours. I didn't have to. I could have been a little faster, but kind of resupplying, getting checked, my stuff all in order. So for a day like that, hitting, probably close to 22, because my Garmin has half a mile in there of non-PCT miles when I got lost. Oh yeah, that too. That took like probably 20 some minutes. So yeah, I'm gonna call it, try to make up the miles tomorrow. I just looked at the elevation. It might be doable to get like a 33 kind of mileage day in. Tall order, but I'm gonna get up early. So I think my friend that I made at the last stop at Olallie Lake is gonna camp here somewhere. Hopefully he finds the site I'm at. But yeah, this is day 126 on my hike from Mexico to Canada on the Pacific Crest Trail. I will see you all tomorrow.